So welcome to Toffee TV. It is another ultimate Everton team. We've got Steve Kelly with us today to talk through his ultimate Everton team, which is essentially 2 defenders, 2 midfielders and 2 forwards. Format is based on a game we play here on Toffee TV called Ultimate Fan, which you can download and win weekly prizes on. Check that out, the link is in the description. And it's the same format in that. You get cards every week and you have to pick like a fantasy football team, but you only get 2 defenders, 2 midfielders and 2 strikers. So we're going to ask Steve about his team, and then we're going to get his best team you've ever seen.
Yeah, best team, yeah.
Okay.
Best team I ever seen.
Okay, best team he's ever seen. One question I ask it every week is, if you could put a goalie in, who would your goalie be?
Nigel Martin.
Okay.
Easy. I was just started watching Everton just as Southall was on the decline, but coming to the end of his career at Everton. So Nigel Martin obviously went through the days of Steve Simmons and Paul Gerrard, and then, then Richard Wright until he tripped in his loft.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nigel Martin, Mr. Reliable, 7 out of 10 every week. Yeah, he was a great goalkeeper and someone we were linked with early in the 90s as well, before he went to Leeds, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he went to Leeds from Paris, didn't he, when we had him, and they were like, yeah, why didn't you go and speak to Leeds first and then come back? And he was like, he did come back, it was just 12 years later or something. So
it's just unfortunate that Seaman was England's goalkeeper at the time, because he probably would have been England's number 1.
No, he was an amazing goalkeeper. So, and obviously when he when Everton brought him to the club, it was a stroke of genius, really, because Richard Wright was, wasn't the best, and then it was so fortuitous that in the first game, I think Richard Wright got injured. Yeah. Nigel Martin got in the team, and that was it. Never looked back, and it was only till he got an injury himself, a toe injury, which finished his career. Yeah. I think that also was part of the thing of, like, he went out while he was still really good. Yeah. He never did that thing like Tim Howard did, where it was like he tailed off, so people have bad memories. So no, Nigel Martin was an incredible goalkeeper. That
very good.
We just got the very end of him. So let's get into your team then. Let's start with your first defender and why.
So the first one is, I think the majority of Everton fans will go with this one, is Leighton Baines. Leighton Baines, as I was just saying off camera to you then, is probably one of the most likeable Everton players we've had in the last 20 years. Free kicks, corners, assists, goals, penalties. He was just a full package as a modern day fullback. And to be honest with you, again, he was another one. 7, 8 out of 10 every week. Got us out of so many games where we were down and he bang on in from 30 yards or a free kick, and he was just there, like I said, really likeable bloke on and off the pitch as well. Pretty cool bloke as well, isn't he? So
consistent, wasn't he? So consistent through his career. It's funny today because I've had some sponsors come back from last week's show with Kane, and Kane had him his course as well. I think Baz had him as well in the first show. It's getting very repetitive now, I'm afraid, for some, but this is just the way it is. And it's funny when people think you actually think Ashley Cole, you actually think he was better than Ashley Cole. Well, I do, and the reasons why is because I don't think he was as good as defender as Ashley Cole. No, but for what we needed him for, and the hit between him and the link up between him and Pienaar, I wouldn't have swapped them for anyone. No. And I think there was 5 seasons in a row when he had the most assists in Europe, or most chances created in Europe. And I don't understand why anyone would want to give that up. No. You could say all day Ashley Cole was a better defender, but if you're talking about, there's a lot better defenders at the moment than Robinson and Trent Alexander, who's clearly, there's better. I'm not saying he's the best, because you got people like Reece James and stuff, and there's a great comparison there. But the point being, for the way Liverpool are, that's so important, and for the way we played, Leighton Baines was I wouldn't have swapped them for anyone. So therefore, when I say I think Baines was better, I don't mean he was necessarily technically better or a better defender. I just mean I wouldn't have swapped them for Ashley Cole. Now, that's no one else probably bar Evertonians understands that argument, but the stats are there, and the way he played, and the way we set up, and the goals we scored through him and Pina, that if we'd had maybe a Colin, we wouldn't have scored as many goals.
Yeah,
so
when he wasn't in the team, you noticed.
Yeah.
At Everton and Pina, even Pina wasn't the same player when Baines wasn't there, and it's because it's a whole obviously Ashley Cole, London-based player, all that type of stuff as well. But Leighton Baines on his day, like you look at some of the clubs you were looking at, Man United wanted him, Bayern Munich wanted him. Like do you think he ever should have moved?
I know it's a hard question because we're Evertonians, but do you think he should have moved?
Probably for trophy. If he wanted trophies, definitely, because again, it's back to I suppose the Wayne Rooney side of it. Wayne Rooney was never going to win Premier Leagues or FA Cups or League Cups at Everton because we just weren't. We've never been in that position like Man United have. So he probably should have, and he would have made Man United a lot better team at the time as well because. There was a lot of their players at the time who were coming to the end, and I think at a bigger club you'd always like to see what he would.
Well, you wouldn't want to see it, of course.
You wouldn't want to see it, but you look at how much Rooney went on when he joined.
Because I think that's part of the argument with some of these players is that when people say about Ashley Cole, using him because he was considered the best left back in the same period of time, he left Arsenal who were a good side to go to Chelsea because he wanted more. He wanted to play for a better team and win trophies, and he did. And I do believe, whether we like this or not as Evertonians, is that footballers who hang around and stay at Everton will be loved by us, but they'll never ever get the most out of their career. And that's a shocking thing to say about your own club, but I do believe that's the truth. And I also believe that you have to have that burning desire also to probably be the best player, because you look at all like the players of any generation, you either take your team to trophies like Gerrard did at Liverpool, or you do a Rooney, or you do a Rio Ferdinand, or you know Gareth Bale leaving Spurs to go to Real Madrid, even Ronaldo leaving Man United to go to Real Madrid. There is something in these players that makes them extraordinary because they know in their heads. Someone like Zlatan, knowing every couple of years that making that right move and winning the league at different clubs, that's like incredible foresight. But that's also that thing of like saying, I'm not going to settle, or my happiness is going to come from winning trophies, and I'm not here really to make friends. After my career's finished, people like say Zlatan. Most clubs he's been at will always remember him fondly, and I suppose he's always for a lot of clubs the big fish. And at the end of his career, he can turn around and go, "I did all this, and I've had an amazing career." Well, yeah, Leighton Baines can turn around and say, "I loved all my time at Everton."
Yeah.
But it'll still be unfulfilled because he never won a trophy.
Well, you look at it on a smaller scale, Julian Lescott, when he left us, he could see where Man City were going. Yeah. And it's weird because he's probably done more at us.
Yeah.
Like on the pitch wise.
Better player
at us than he was at Man City. But he'll always be remembered as a Man City player. Because he went on and won the Premier League, played in Champions Leagues for them. So that's where what you're saying is absolutely spot on about Baines, really.
I think you have to, like you said, you have to have that like little internal drive, and
selfishness a bit.
It is really, that selfishness, and that's always going to be the thing for other people, I suppose, rather than us. We will look back at these players when they finish careers and go, we love the fact that they play. And I suppose for those players though, it's that flip of the coin of like, how happy am I?
Yeah.
And for some players, they're very happy doing what they do, having a good career. That being a professional football and playing for a Premier League team all the career and loving that team might be the pinnacle for them. Yeah. Whereas other players have that, as I say, have that selfishness where it's about them more than anything else and winning trophies, and that will always be a very unique thing, and people will always look back at Leighton Baines and probably say, did he fulfill his potential? Could he have been more? Could he have won more? And I think he probably could have, but at the same time he never, for him I would say he never slacked off. Because you do get these players who get to maybe 26, 27, 28 and go, I'm going to be here for the rest of my career now. I'll just get through. Another one at the moment you could probably say it about is someone like Zaha.
Yeah.
at Palace, he's probably going to stay there for the rest of his career. But I think he's made that choice now, and I think now in the next few years, they're going to get so much more out of him because he's made that decision that he is happy with Palace and he wants to drive Palace on. Yeah. And I don't think that's anything against him. I think that's like his window of opportunity is gone. I think Kane at Spurs is like a little bit like that now. He might have missed his big moment, so instead of like sitting there going, "Oh, this is terrible," which Baines sort of did. Baines was like, Baines basically said, if the club had let me sign for Man United, I would have signed for Man United, but he didn't, so fair enough. Yeah. I'm not going to worry about that. I think that's like Kane now. Kane has to look at a situation and say to himself, I'm staying here now. Let's make the most of it. Let's drive these on. Let me get all my individual numbers. England top goal scorer, Spurs top goal scorer. I don't know if we'll ever get that because of Jimmy Greaves or whatever, but I think you have to make that decision, and I think that's what Baines made, that decision. I'm going to drive on now. And then he left the club on his own terms, and obviously back with the club. So
I think that's why he'll always, like I said at the very start, very likeable player.
Yeah, very.
That's why you'll never get many Everton fans saying a bad word.
No.
I'd be very.
And we'll always back him in the arguments as well. Yeah. We'll always back him in the arguments.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him every week. That's probably another reason why we back him as well. But some of the goals he scored, honestly, if Ashley Cole had scored them, it'd be like, wow, world's best left back. But he was unreal, mate. Some of the West Ham away, Newcastle one away from home, and like the amount of times he like high pressured penalties as well. You know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, he should have took the one at Wembley that time.
Yeah.
But it is what.
But saying that though, De Gea did have his number, didn't he? So maybe that's the problem. I think we're gonna get. I'm gonna have to try and find things to say about Leighton Baines every week. So who's your second defender?
My second one might surprise a few people. David Weir.
Oh yes, I like that. A bit of originality. Yeah, go on.
David Weir, come from Hearts, Walter Smith. Coming for 250 grand or something like that.
Turned down Liverpool.
I always remember he made his debut. I think it was like a Wednesday night game or something. It was, and it was under the lights and for what he achieved at Everton, become one of our best, probably one of Smith's best ever signings, and maybe one of the club's best ever signings in the Premier League era. And I just think again, David Weir, he's one of those players. During the crap times, he was still really good.
No, he was.
He was solid, and he had that bit of a nasty side at times as well, where he wasn't scared to give a bit out to the other team, but. I always thought he was Mr. Reliable, and he was someone who you knew was on the team sheet every week. Yeah,
very, very sort of quiet, softly spoken.
Yeah,
but someone who led by example. I think very interesting career because he actually started. He actually went to America. He went to college in America, and did like a scholarship thing. So he skipped that sort of initial phase of development, and he come back from America, and he went to Hearts, and then we got him from Hearts, and I think that's why his career was probably longer than because he skipped that initial youth phase, and as I said, very intelligent fella.
He played till he was 41.
Yeah. Then I think that's when he went to Rangers, didn't he? I think that's why though, because he those early years he wasn't getting like battered in the youth systems. He was playing in America, and he was. I don't think his professional career started till he was 22, so he probably got a few more years out of that. And no, he was a brilliant player. And
reading of the game was so good as a centre half, like who didn't have pace.
Yeah,
it was like one of those when you play Sunday League or something. It's like players who when to drop deep because they know they haven't got the pace, but he had a very clever footballing brain.
Yeah, he did.
Good on the ball as well.
No, he was.
Remember his volley as well? Was it Spurs? Was that Spurs away?
Yeah, Spurs away. Yeah,
volley that.
Yeah, he scored. I think did he score in the 4-4 against Leeds as well? I think that might have been his first goal. Yeah, he was so consistent. Someone you could rely on every week.
Captain at times. Was he club captain?
I think he might have been. Yeah, Moyes came in and continued that, and we had Yobo, but he still had him and Stubbs. In there, and they were a huge part, and of course he's now a famous part of a famous catchphrase. He's the Weir sub. So when anyone ever brings on a defender towards the end of a game, it is the Weir sub. That was what happened towards the end of his days at Everton. Was he Everton might be winning a game, and Everton, Moyes wanted to see it out, and would always send on Weir, and it was the Weir sub. And now forever, I always call every, and a lot of people say it now. It's like anytime anyone or also anyone brings on that late sub to try and see out the game, that's the Weir sub. He was just like very, very consistent. And he's not. There's no flashiness about him. There was nothing like very, very solid pro, but had like a fantastic spell at Everton.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He was as well. I was looking at his that 04 season when we got in the Champions League. He was so important that season. The amount of clean sheets we had with him at the back there as well, and he chipped in with a few goals if I remember right that season as well. And you look at it, even as his career's gone on, like playing at Rangers till he was 41. He went the World Cup with Scotland in '98 as well. He's had an amazing 600. I think I've read before. He's had like nearly 700 games in his career, which is amazing. And he's gone on to be, like you saying there about, seems a very clever bloke. Gone on like Brentford, a lot of involvement with that as well.
Yeah, he was. He was a big part of Brentford actually, and I've actually heard people saying Everton should bring him in to
under 23.
His lad's playing now as well, isn't he? So I think his lad's at Brighton, isn't he? But he's on loan somewhere at the moment.
Right,
he was at Wigan, wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah.
He was when Wigan had to do the big purge when they went bust basically.
Yeah.
He went to Brighton and we were looking at his lad then. I think what Weir was funny because Weir was the player between Watson and Jagielka essentially. Yeah. He was that player in between, and we've always loved consistent centre backs. It's one of our big problems now that we don't have a consistent centre back.
Yeah.
And there's almost a link between them all. There was Brian LeBone, then there was Mick Lyons, then there was Mark Higgins, then there was Kevin Ratcliffe, Dave Watson into like Weir, and then you can throw Stubbs in that, and then to Jagielka, and then Jagielka was like the last one. He was like the last one that you could rely on. Like they always had good partners, but there was and that's mad that you can go 50 years.
Yeah.
With like 5 players basically, which thread in between. And since Jagielka retired, we've not had anybody who's come in and taken that consistently. Michael Keane's supposed to be that player now, but he's not. You can't rely on him. But they're all leaders. They all led. They always had that player next to them, and it's been so. We're Everton are always like, we talk about our number 9s and stuff. But our one centre back that you can rely on every week was also a big part of it. Someone you could rely on every single week, and it's so evident that that's what Everton are missing at the moment. And David Weir was one of them, as far as I'm concerned. He was one because, like, obviously Stubbs came.
Stubbs was the shouter, wasn't he?
But he came, but he
was
he was just like that calm. He was that calm and influence though, and he obviously Stubbs left and came back, but Weir was the constant through all of that, and different managers were playing, and it's so interesting that that's something we're massively missing at the moment. And I thought David Weir was a fantastic player.
At the time he went through, it was a pretty shocking period for the club on the pitch. We were struggling every season. I understand we had a lot of financial problems at the time, but he was never one of them who even if you got beat, you'd be like, Davey Weir had a decent game.
Yeah.
He had a decent game. Like, I remember there's one, but I'm pretty sure he was linked with Man United at one point as well.
Yeah.
I think there's rumours.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I think there's rumours of Man United at one point with obviously Walter Smith's connection with Alex Ferguson.
Also because Ferguson always loved to like buy a mad centre back when they needed like someone. Weir would have been perfect.
I think it was the time, when he bought Laurent Blanc.
Yeah.
I think it was around that time as well.
Well, Liverpool actually wanted to sign him, and he came to us instead because of Smith, and because I think he guaranteed first team football with us in the Premier League. No, such a really good signing, as I said. Something now we miss so much, because they're the kind of players that would play 35 games a season, would play without, you would need to be out injured. It would be something absolutely serious, like a knee injury or something like that. It wouldn't aches and pains or the whatever, like a groin strain or whatever. Just stick a needle in me and get me through the game. I'll play, and that's something. And it's so evident that Everton. This is something that we've been missing since Jagielka, or maybe a year before Jagielka packed in with us. It's so obvious, but that's the mad thing. They're not so readily available anymore because the position has changed so much, and even though I think because maybe centre backs rely more on pace now, that they do pick up more injuries, hamstring injuries, and the centre forwards are so fast now. Whereas, like you just said there, you could Weir, like I'm sure, like Weir against Owen was Weir always done well against them. I'm not saying Michael Owen didn't score goals against us, but Weir always done well because, like you just said, positionally his brain, and that's what helped them last longer because he didn't need that pace.
No, he was brilliant. He was just great centre half, and probably doesn't get enough recognition. Off fans, I'd say as well. But for my era growing up, it was he was the first probably good centre half.
A player you can rely on. What more do you want in football?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go into your midfield. Who's your first midfielder?
So I've gone with Andrei Kanchelskis.
Oof. So
Andrei Kanchelskis was the first player I ever got on my back.
Yeah.
After I always remember we won the FA Cup, and the club used to do they done something where you could go in and get your photo took with the FA Cup and the Charity Shield. I remember the Danker kit. Yeah. The year after, I had Kanchelskis on the back.
Yeah, I had.
But he hadn't signed because he knew. And my dad was going mad because he was like, "You do realise he might not be signing now because he's failed it was his medical, wasn't it?"
No. Sorry, it was financial issues.
That was the story at the time.
Yeah, no, it was financial issues between Manchester United and his former club.
And at the time, my dad's like, "I've just spent all that money on Kanchelskis on the back of your top," but he was amazing. He was the first amazing probably player I ever seen play for Everton.
He was.
Like that era for me growing up, it was obviously we won the FA Cup, then we got Kanchelskis, and it was like, this is a great time in Everton. Like, it was such happy memories and that. But he was just a great player, running with the ball, beating men, scoring goals. He's just you don't really see wingers like that anymore. Like
not at Everton.
Not at Everton anyway. But he was just one who used to hug the touchline. Yeah. He was always good at coming in as well. I always remember that.
Yeah, he was an outside inside. Yeah. Kind of winger. So.
And I know a lot of people say, he wasn't there for long, but the time he was here, he gave everyone so many great memories, and I'll never forget the derby when he scored in two at the Cop End. I was actually watched that at Goodison. Yeah, I was. Screen. Yeah. In the Bullens Road, and we were all dancing on the chairs, and the most probably complete derby. Oh, it should have been about
5-0. How it ended 2-1, I'll never know. It should have been about 5-0.
But yeah, that was probably one of the most complete football displays I've ever seen from an Everton player, to be honest with you. Kanchelskis at Anfield, it was just a shame he obviously left the club. And, again, that comes back to the circumstances of the club at the time. But he was
unreal, wasn't he?
He was your first, like I said there, first amazing player I'd ever seen for Everton.
He was probably he was like our first real Premier League era player. I know Amakachi was probably like the one where everyone went, we finally bought a foreign player who played in a World Cup, but he was the real, like, you got him from Man United and still in his peak, and his goals were brilliant.
A lot of United players I've read found it strange that Ferguson let him go, because they were like, why are you letting one of our best players go?
He obviously wanted to change things up, didn't he? Get Beckham in and stuff. But and he missed a big part of that season. He got injured, I think, against Manchester United.
Shoulder, wasn't it?
He was out for ages, and me and Baz spoke about this. It's, if he'd been available for that final game, we think he would have won. We would have won the Winners' Cup that year, because the way that team went on for the rest of the season was. And I was at Sheffield Wednesday, second to last game of the season, and scored a hat trick, and he was just, all he had to do was knock at a yard and hit it, and he could hit it so hard, it didn't even have to be accurate.
That goal he scored at Anfield, he just wellied it, didn't he? He just wellied it, and it went under James. It was just power. Yeah. That's what he had, power and pace. And
he scored in the home derby as well, didn't he?
17 goals.
And he scored the home derby as well. Even we drew 1-1, but he got the home derby, and he was just brilliant. And again, it's like that thing people may speak about, like James Rodriguez in time of you only have them for a certain time, and it seems to be the way with Everton players, or when we get something, we can never hold on to it for very long. But he was amazing, and the more disappointing thing was he left to go to Valentina, and they were rubbish.
I know.
Don't think they ever paid us for him, had they? They were rubbish. They weren't even a big team.
No, they weren't. I remember at the time, you just watching it. I was watching Italian football just to watch him again.
And he never
just let down when
he
never
did anything. He never did anything. So, yeah, what a.
There's a lot of players again who could have put ahead of him, but it was my happiest.
No, that's it. This podcast is about
as an Everton fan. It was great. We won the FA Cup. That team probably should have went on and done a lot more.
I remember that. I remember when we were signing, when there was it was all done and then it wasn't done, and it was mad. I think I've told this story loads of times, but I used to just at 7:00. Radio Merseyside had the news, and then they had the sports bulletin, and I used to go to my dad's car. I must have done it. Felt like weeks, but it was like a couple of weeks actually.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And I used to go to my dad's car every night, 7:00. Listen to the news, know that there'd be like a proper sports bulletin, and I'd be waiting for like Mike Hughes to say what was going on, because literally that was the only. How mad time is now, you know what I mean? How mad is time now that and you'd have and be like, you might just the very best might go. There's been no further update on Andrei Kanchelskis, because it was like he was signing, it was all done, and then it was like Manchester United were like, no, can't go through. It was like, why? It was like, because they owe money to the club, like a sell on. It might have been a little bit more than what was said. I mean, don't want to get anyone into trouble. But so Everton were just stuck there going, well, we're not paying it. No. We've give you your money. You've got to give that money to them now. And in the end, it got through. But like you said, it was almost like it was all done. Yeah. People went out and bought shirts and all on the back. If you're paying by the letter, Jesus.
That's what my dad does. Like all players, you could have got on the back of your shirt. You got
amazing.
A week's wage.
I got on the back of my shirt. I think
it's a great kit.
I think I give it to someone, because I think it was like those numbers were like double numbers, weren't they? They were like white, and then they had like black block on top. And I think all the black block fell off, and all it was just Kanchelskis in white, but you couldn't they were just it was just a block. Yeah. So it was the background, so you couldn't define what was on it. I think it was just given to someone, and years later you go, what did I do that for?
Into a lot of trouble for England club call.
Yeah, that's why I ended up in my dad's car listening to Merseyside. I wasn't going to get caught out by club call.
My dad these are you?
Yeah.
No, but he was great one. He was. Limpard on one wing.
Yeah.
On the other wing. It was
unbelievable. So who's your second midfielder?
This one's probably a tad more sadness of Gary Speed.
Yeah.
Gary Speed was like when he come to Everton.
Following summer from Kanchelskis, wasn't it?
Like that was at the time that was the missing piece in the gym.
Oh yeah.
And when he come to the club, his whole happiness of joining Everton. It was just like one of us when he was like Everton fan. His dad's a big Evertonian.
Yeah, his dad is. Yeah.
And obviously the career he went on to have just proved what a.
But even before his career, he won the league with Leeds and was like, I think he might have got Young Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And like when we got him, it wasn't like a player on the down; it was a player on the up. And we just finished that season when Chelsea was just outside the European places. Yeah. So we were building, and we were going to have Dunk and Kanchelskis and Speed, and all these players were all going to be. We were building something really, because you didn't need 4 or 5 players in them days. You just had to add 1 or 2 with the subs and everything. The sub rules the way they were. You just had to add a couple, and he was
great, mate. It was on Sky the other week. Showed his header at Anfield. When he got that header, and you just seeing the happiness on the bloke's face to score at the cop end, and he was like, "This is amazing." Yeah. And it's just a shame the way it obviously all ended at Everton.
Yeah, and
obviously in his life.
It's horrible. It's like horrible to talk.
I wasn't going to pick it because of that reason.
No, but
because I just thought.
No, but the thing about it is though,
great player for one, and he was the complete midfielder.
Yeah, he was. See, and the sad thing is, he finished at Everton because the standards of the club had completely fell through the floor.
Yeah.
And as far as he was concerned, he wasn't going to put up with that.
Yeah.
But then stories came out about him.
Yeah. And
like they did with Rooney, they put it all on him like it was him. He was forcing out, and then loads of people. And I was young myself, so you fall into the trap because you love your club and you love your club, and you don't in them days again. Very much in the very early part of the internet. There's not lots of ways to find out. The club tell you something, that's it. The player was classy enough himself not to divulge why he felt he needed to leave. There's been lots of rumours since.
He never even reacted, did he? I don't even remember.
But he never reacted in a bad way.
That's
put it this way.
Yeah. I mean, you see when Rooney, obviously, was bad,
but he was a kid. He was a kid.
But I mean, with Speed, the amount of abuse he got when he come to Goodison, it was pretty bad at times.
It was horrendous. It was horrendous.
You look at the way he handled himself, like you said,
it was class.
True professional.
Absolute class. And like anything, as people grow up and start to understand that there's two sides of the story.
Yeah.
And it was difficult for Evertonians because obviously, and the truth's never really come out, but you know, we know there was rumours about you know, Howard Kendall at the time and his relationship with Gary Speed. And obviously, as an Evertonian, you always want to back Howard Kendall, who's an absolute legend. You always want to take that side of things. I find it interesting that Howard Kendall never spoke about it before his death either, even in his autobiography. I read this autobiography and I felt massively let down that there was nothing in it, that it wasn't put out there, and ultimately we never found out the truth because obviously what happened to Gary Speed was so sad. But I think when Gary Speed died, though, there was that realisation by Evertonians that you know, he was an Evertonian. He had played for the club. The club, there was more going on at the time. There's more gone on since. We're all a little bit cleverer now. We all know not to eat the nonsense they feed us. And it's just so sad that sort of happened after he died. You know what I mean?
The rumour was, he called Walter Smith at the end of the Walter Smith's first season and asked to come back to the club. There was that rumour,
A
lot of them rumours flying around at the time as well, I remember. And you look back, don't you, and you think he should have really been Everton captain, and he was up to
I always think of him of Gary Speed in the yellow and black kit.
Me too.
Like,
that's what he had. He got presented.
That was like when you think of some players in their kits. That's the kit. I know he wore like the Danker shirt, and I also remember. It's funny because actually there's got a funny connection with me and Baz about this before we really knew each other. I got a job. It was my first proper job, and it was working for the railway, working for Merseyrail on Merseyside. And I got a job, and it was in the summer of 98. 98, yeah. Was it 98? Yeah. And it was the second season of that god-awful one-to-one kit.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember going to... So I got my first, like, pay packet. And I went to Dirty Sports or Dirty Soccer and it was boss. I loved Dirty Soccer. There was Soccer City on Bold Street where I first met Duncan there years ago when I was a kid. He was doing a signing session, and then there was Dirty Soccer, and they had some boss kits from everywhere. But they had the Everton kit. And it was and because we were going into the second season. And if anyone wonders why they stopped having kits after a year, it's because they only made one batch of them, and if you were going into the second season, you couldn't get the kits anyway, and they'd always be dead cheap then. So I walked in and picked up this Everton top for about, I don't know, 15 quid, let's say. And because I bought it cheap, the first thing I did was cut the V off, which Gary Speed always wore. Always wore it without that stupid white V with Everton written on it. And the kit looked so much better. And I turned up, and we had a friendly our Sunday League team against Baz's team, and I knew he was an Evertonian and stuff. And I walked in and I had this top on, and he looked at me and just went, "I like Gary Speed." And I think they were the first words Baz had ever said to me, like, because he obviously knew it was a blue ball. They were like the first words, and this was years before, like, you know, we obviously started Toffee TV or doing stuff on the radio, and it's just weird that weird connection of that kit and me cutting that collar off because he hated the collar. But I always think of that yellow kit, but. I think you
see there, like, the amount of tributes about the bloke, about him as a person, but as a player as well. Like Roy Keane saying the toughest opponents he's come across.
Oh, hard as nails.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember him and Keane in the cup final, Newcastle v United, and Speed matched him tackle for tackle.
Oh, he was. And he started as a winger and then became a centre midfielder.
He played left back for Wales. Captained this country.
He was a phenomenal. I think when me and Baz did a British best 11, I think we got him in at left back.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but you look at him and you just think he was everything. He was everything we wanted as a player.
No. He was everything as a captain, as an ambassador. Yeah. He should have been here for 10 years, but they messed it up. They messed it up, and obviously whatever happened. There is talk, and I don't want to really talk about it on here, but there was talk of what happened. But it must have. How bad must have it been for a player to turn around and go, I want to leave this club because the standards are so low at this club now that I need to go.
You look at that season, we should have went down, mate.
Yeah, we were terrible.
We should have went
down. We were absolutely...
That's the worst Everton team I've seen.
Yeah, they were worse than the 94 team. The 94 team had like... The 94 team, were like a mixture of young players and stuff, and whatever. And what happened at Christmas was really... And the manager was an absolute... horrendous, but that 98 team should have. They were horrendous. They were horrendous. Like some of the players.
If it wasn't for probably Campbell.
Not Campbell. It's just a mixture, wasn't it? It was a mixture of just we just got some points from different games and
scrambled it.
And I remember at the end of that season it was just pure anger. Yeah. Whereas at the end of the 94 it was pure relief, and it was like, we're never going to do this again. Well, we are lads in 4 years. No, I don't know. I just think what the poor man must have been going through at the end. I mean, and
he would have been Everton manager, mate.
I think so. But
and he was doing great things at Wales as well at the time.
And they've built off that as well. It's just when you think about, do you know what? I actually remember where I was when he died.
Yeah, me too.
I was playing football in a game on a with my Everton team. And we had a lad who played centre midfield called Owain, right? From North Wales. Right? And he was box to box midfielder who always scored goals for us, and he scored in that game. Yeah. And he wore number 10. And I just remember someone from the sideline shouting it, going, Gary Speed's died. And we were all like, what? And he's like, Gary Speed's died. And I think, do you know what as well? We might have been playing Everton stewards, which would make it even more weirder. We might have been playing Everton stewards in a game, and he'd scored, and it was just... And I just remember walking off the pitch just totally shocked.
Just a sick feeling.
Yeah, and then afterwards finding out what had happened, and it's just...
same as you, mate.
Horrendous, that, mate.
Days where you just want to...
because you don't know, and obviously we still don't know, and we never will know, and that's sad. That's sad, and again, that's more of a... That shows that how important, like, you know, men talking to each other and like, you know, the these lads having the talk hub and stuff and going for walks before getting, how massively important it is. Because in fact, you've got a situation, we've got a fella
had everything, didn't he?
Had everything. Look, was a great looking fella, amazing footballer, the manager of his country, had could have easily have left that and gone and become the Everton manager, the Newcastle manager, the Leeds manager, because everyone mostly loved them. Maybe not Evertonians at the time, but things would have changed. Just sad. It just makes me feel sad.
With him in my team, you always just think you just want players who are proud to play for Everton.
Do you know? Yeah, and do you know what though? What I like about those two players are though that people forget that. After we won the FA Cup, the whole Joe Royle period was good till it was bad.
We just done a typical Everton.
Yeah, exactly. And it could have been, and it was actually Joe Parkinson getting injured, which was the catalyst.
I remember Richard Keys and Andy Gray at the time saying
dark horse
for the title.
After we beat Derby County.
It was Derby away, was it?
Yeah, we beat them 1-0, and then everyone was...
Yeah. I know, mate. It's horrible, isn't it?
Sad. So let's move on to the forwards.
So the first forward was Kevin Campbell.
Yeah.
Super Kev. So, it basically saved us.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
From going down again. So I know the mixed bag of play, but Kev Campbell come in and he just took to Everton fans, and we took to him straight away. And obviously, a lot of people will never forget the night at Anfield as well, where he scored the winner in the derby. But as a goal scorer, he was just brilliant. He could do a bit of everything. He could do a bit out of the box. I remember there was one time he played centre midfield under Walter Smith, and I just thought
I was at that game.
Yeah,
Villa.
He was just a good solid professional, but got us as friends.
Yeah, he did.
And he still does now.
No, he's a great fella. And we've obviously had him on loads of times, and we talked to him, and he's such a good fella. He's Arsenal's his first love, but if you're gonna, he's very much a blue through and through.
And another one, he went on to West Brom and kept them up in the Premier League as well.
No, he was a fantastic, and I think for Kevin Campbell, I think is the, he's very reflective of other people that we love or we've made heroes of, because what they've done is they've come in when we needed someone, and they've like saved us, or they've given us a hero. So Dunk is loved because he came to Everton when we were in a mess, and he scored goals, and his first goal was in a derby, and he got us, and he got us as fans, and you could tell he was playing for the shirt, playing for the fans, and where he was surrounded by mediocrity. He was just like something, and I'm sure like for different generations, like Andy King was a bit like that, I think, for a generation. Even like when people like in '84 when we weren't brilliant, people like Andy Gray and Peter Reid coming and started doing things like that as well, and obviously they went on to better things. But there is that thing of having a player that just elevates everybody else, and Kevin Campbell did that, and came in, scored the goals, did it the following season as well. And it wasn't really till he got a knee injury, and the knee injury, like I think it was at the second season towards the end. He just got this knee injury, and he never truly picked it up again. And had
a good couple of months under Moyes' first season, didn't he?
Yeah.
And obviously it was him and Radzinski up front, and that was good for a bit. And then obviously Rooney come along, and I think Campbell might have left towards the end of the 04.
But people forget that as well, because people forget when you watch the Arsenal game and Rooney scored and Rooney jumps on Campbell's back. He was a big part of the early Moyes period as well. So
he come across as a leader as well.
Yeah, he was definitely.
Again, like we say about David Weir, very silent and calm, but he was. Again, I remember in the derby when Gerrard done that tackle, he was first. I remember he was first in there.
Of course, he scored in the derby as well. The last time before the last time we won at Anfield.
But he got give everything for the Everton shirt, and he still talks so fondly about the club today. And I think, obviously, I know Dunk was everyone's hero at the time, but I actually, if you look at Dunk, the fans love probably Duncan more, but Kev Campbell probably give us more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what I would say is because Campbell came in and scored those goals in such a short period of time. I think scoring on his debut at Newcastle. I think those goals were quick hits, and then they got the hat-trick on the last day against West Ham. They were. It was all very much in the sport when we needed someone. Whereas like the year before when we stayed up, Dunk was the captain. Dunk had scored goals. Dunk kept us up the season before. He'd been made captain, and he was scoring goals in different games. Got like a hat-trick against Bolton and over Christmas, and he was scoring, but it wasn't like in one big chunk. So you don't look back and go,
no, I know what you mean.
So I think there was like a game of Forest, Dunk scored a couple. But it was all. You might have finished the season with, say, like 12 goals.
Anfield,
With Michael Madame missed that. So it was like he scored goals, but it wasn't. Kevin Campbell scored them in this big chunk. So you got to a part of the season like we have to stay up. We have to win games and stay up, and he did that for us, and I think we ended up staying up quite comfortably. But he was the spark. He was the thing, because when you go back and I think we played like Sheffield Wednesday, and I think they beat us at Goodison, and Carboni scored a couple, and it just looked like it was only going to go one way, and then it all changed when he came in.
I think it was the Coventry game where he scored and we stayed up. That I think we like 4 games. But even look at the season after, we had a decent. Again, I know weirdly we finished 12th. I think was it? But it was a decent team. Should have done a lot. Should have done a lot.
Some of the players.
You look at that was probably Barmby's best season for Everton, and
Don Hutchinson.
And he went to them, didn't he? But Campbell was another one. He's probably one of them, and it gives you a 7 out of 10 every week.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Right, let's move on to your second striker.
Last one, Romelu Lukaku.
Yes.
Obviously, our record Premier League goal scorer. You can't really leave him out of anybody's team, I'd say. So he's the complete striker, really. Back to goal, running a players. Selfish, another one. He had that selfish side of him, which
nothing wrong with that.
You need as a striker, because it's all about putting the ball in the back of the net. But probably not as loved by some fans for certain reasons. I've got nothing against him, but I think he done everything he could at Everton, and it was kind of a bit like at the Rooney stage when Rooney left. He had to go and fulfill his career.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of it's hard to take as fans. We all know that it's hard to take, but. To me, like he gave everything as much as he could in an Everton shirt, and he probably got let down by the club more than anything. Lukaku, and it comes back again to what we have a conversation about all the time: the club letting certain players down. And we've recently found out, obviously, Wayne Rooney doing his podcast with Tony Bellew when Rooney got let down by the club. And it seems a common thing. So with Rom, if we'd actually shown a bit of, I don't know. ambition. Ambition as a club, he might still be an Everton player, and we might be in a better position we are now. Well, we definitely would.
Yeah, but and even when he'd said, right, I'll give you one more season, and that summer had gone, right, we're going to invest in some really good up and coming striker, Haaland or someone, I don't know. Then that would have been the difference, but we didn't. We left it, and then when he came in, we were like, what do we do now? And of course we had Dom at the club, and since then Dom has gone on, and obviously Richarlison as well. But neither are quite Romelu Lukaku.
You look at Lukaku, we were finishing 7th or 8th, and he was finishing Premier League goals.
He finished 11th twice, and he scored. He was in the top 5 every.
Well, he was him and Kane on it.
It was embarrassing. It's embarrassing when anyone ever looks back at Martinez's time, and says like, we should have kept him. Go, well, look at how many goals Lukaku scored, and look at where we finished in the league, and I'll tell you why he shouldn't have stayed at the club.
Yeah. I think it's a shame of Rom, because again, like I said, a lot of fans don't really look at him in that class, but I think he's what a modern day striker is now. Powerful, just loves scoring goals, and he very rarely misses. That's one thing I'd say as well.
Always hits the target, put it that way.
Always hits the target, even if it's straight at the goalie. But the amount of times where he scored, I don't know, 2 in a game, he'd get beat 4-3.
Yeah,
it'd be like.
It was that classic thing of that classic line of like, well, we still would have got 7th even if he hadn't scored.
Yeah,
and it was exactly. Like, no, that's not true. That's not true. I remember when we beat Man City 4-0, and he scored the first goal, and it'd be like. Well, yeah, that's how we won the game, because he gave us the cat, and also because of his ability to push pin back defenders, and he was always a threat. People were terrified of us. So
He was great in Europe for us as well. He was some of those games away from home in Europe. He was just banging goals in left, right, and centre. But
he even scored a worldie at Kiev, didn't he?
Yeah.
And but we had Alcaraz at the back. So that just again Martinez.
Yeah,
clueless.
I think that was an easy one. Lukaku, I think again.
It's an easy one because he's boss.
And I think
people will look back, I think, in time and go, where you've said about Kanchelskis. Yeah. People will go up. People will start saying maybe like James Rodriguez and Lukaku, because there's no denying that Lukaku is a world class player, and he played for Everton. And I'm still to see him. Listen, he was good at Inter Milan, but I'm still to see him be better than he was at Everton. Because he was like the big fish, and some players absolutely loved that.
Yeah.
So, but then you have to sort of move, like we said earlier, from a Leighton Baines. You have to move to see what you can get out your career. And I don't think he would ever turn around and go, I regret leaving Everton, because of course he's played for big clubs and he'll win stuff at Chelsea, I imagine. But he'll look back and go, I enjoyed my time at Everton. The most annoying thing about Lukaku is that thing is like where players sometimes get the wrong idea about fans and social media. So when they played us at Old Trafford, Man United, and he beat us 4-0, and he walked over cup on his ears to our fans, it was like, well, what do you expect our fans to do there but give you grief when you do that? But you're giving grief to the wrong people.
Yeah.
Because most of our fans did back him. Forget about social media. I remember the game after that, he said he wasn't signing a contract, and he scored 2, I think, against Hull. And the first one he didn't know how to celebrate it. The second one he was like, because he'd seen the Gladys, he'd given him loads of support. Because I would say, like, when he plays for Everton, he said, that's all I want. I couldn't give a monkeys about whatever he's doing off the pitch or what he's saying when he goes away with Belgium or whatever. When he plays for Everton, he scores goals. No other currency matters to me. The
sad part about it, him as an individual had more ambition than our club. And that's the reality.
But how many players do we have that kiss the badge and give all the fist and all that, and run round going, I love Everton, and you're like, but you're not that good, are you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And and then the club go and give them a job somewhere or whatever, and they walk up. I mean, not so much Baines, by the way, because Baines is like, I think Baines crashes over both.
Yeah.
But there are players who run around going, I love this club, going to be with this club forever, blah blah blah. Fans go, yeah, they're amazing. And then where other clubs might go, yeah, but he was crap. Yeah. Didn't win anything for you. You might have loved them.
I think he'd get a different reaction now. Than he did
maybe.
That United game, I felt a bit sorry for him.
Be interesting when he comes and plays against us for Chelsea, but
yeah.
Right, so that's your team. Yeah. So it was Weir, Baines, Kanchelskis, Speed, Kevin Campbell, and Romelu Lukaku. That's brilliant. I like that because you've mixed it up. I like that.
That's what. Yeah, I just thought
mix that up.
Try to put a different.
So let's get into very quickly. You've picked 6 players that played against Everton. That the best team. So let's first defender.
John Terry. John Terry was I think with John Terry, a lot of people always going about his defending, but actually on the ball, he was really good on the ball. Like that
leader. What a leader.
He was a leader. Give his all for Chelsea every week, and I always remember he was good left and right foot as well. A lot of people again don't give him
scored important goals.
Yeah, well, like first Chelsea captain to win them the league in so many years as well. So I think that Chelsea team under Mourinho was probably the hardest team I've ever seen at Goodison to play against, because they were just horrible, but they had so much ability as well, and
they did.
But they knew how to win nasty. They knew how to mix it up, didn't they? And he was the main man behind it all, really. And
it is. I know it's sad on a professional front that he didn't play in that game, the Champions League final. I know he gets buzzed off for getting his kit on, but I think any. No, but at the end of the day, when you've got pictures of fella, why you want to be part of it? So years after, he'll probably go, well, I deserve to win a medal because I played in all. I always find that weird when people, when they play in cup finals, I understand where they go, like Goalkeeper, I didn't win it. Well, you did, mate, because the semi-final, you were amazing. Juventus, you got them there, so you deserve to be on the pitch. And I think I'd do exactly the same. I'd throw a kit on and go, because when you'd look weird on the pitches, people go, oh, weren't you part of it? And be like, well, I was. But so I had no problem with him throwing a kit on. I thought that was ingenious.
Chelsea fan, isn't he? He's not going to do stupid.
I think that's ingenious.
Yeah.
Years later, people go, oh, you must have played in that game. People forget who played in finals after a while.
And he missed the pen, didn't he? A couple of years before as well.
Heartache,
But John Terry, I think,
brilliant.
Again, he's a proper centre-half.
Yeah. Who's your second defender?
Second one would be his defensive partner, Ricardo Carvalho.
Ooh.
I just thought them two as a partnership. I know people going about Vidic and Ferdinand, but I actually think Carvalho and Terry were a better partnership.
Great signing from Mourinho and from Porto.
He's another one, horrible defender. Yeah. But I always remember Everton played Chelsea in the League Cup semi-final at Goodison, and he was unbelievable that night. Terry didn't play actually, and he was the reason Chelsea got through that game, because he was sweet. He was really good at, like, if Terry got caught out,
reading it. Over. He could read the game brilliantly.
And, like, you see what he done. He went to Real Madrid. Obviously, I know it wasn't his best spell there, but he also at international level he was brilliant. He was just a no nonsense centre half, but he was classy as well the way he did it. So class. Carvalho and Terry.
Go on, moving into midfield.
Paul Scholes. Like as a midfielder myself, I just love the bloke. I thought he could do everything. Pass 5 yards, pass 50 yards, get stuck in. Bit of horribleness about him again. But he was just he changed his game. People forget when he was at United at the very start. He was an attacker midfielder. He was a striker, actually.
Yeah, he was.
He was originally a striker. So, and now he had to evolve his game to actually stay at United. Yeah. To go from the attacker midfielder. And he had that. I remember he had an eye issue, didn't he? He was, but then he went deep, and like you see some of the players you talk about, like Zidane, Xavi, all these. They're not stupid.
No, they're not stupid. People have said he's the only one who could have played for Barcelona.
Yeah, so
no, he was brilliant. And I remember being at a game when Everton were playing Man United, and we were 3-0 down at half time. And I was sitting in the top balcony at the time. The funny thing is, we ended up coming back to get 3-3, and then they scored.
Was that the one where he played over the top to Berbatov?
Oh no, I don't think Berbatov was there. I think it was Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Was it?
Ruud van Nistelrooy, I think, scored the last minute goal. We pulled it back from 3-0 down. But I was sitting in the top balcony, and I said to me, I was with my cousin, and he was a very young midfielder, and I said, no, what we're going to do second half, we're just going to watch Paul Scholes. Everton, funny enough, got back into the game, and all he used to do is he used to just run in straight lines up and down the pitch and just get the ball and then move it. He never went like side to side. He just used to run and then get in between. And if anyone's seen the Gary Neville soccer box thing on here, when you watch his goals and how he because all he used to do was just drift through the middle, never went anywhere else, just drifted through the middle, picked up brilliant at timing his runs, brilliant at picking up little bits of space. Obviously his volleying ability was incredible.
Villa away was unbelievable.
Remember when he retired and come back?
He come back for a Manchester derby.
Yeah. Do you ever see that one when someone got a clip of him playing like five-a-side, and he just picks the ball up and there's a kid down the thing and he just pings it and hits him on the head, and it's just like unbelievable ability.
There was one about Phil Neville, one where they always used to in training, if someone was going taking a piss in the corner. Scholes used to just practice his passing to try and hit them all on the head. And one day he hit Alex Ferguson on the head, and I think Phil Neville got the blame for it. So, but he was an unbelievable player.
Yeah,
probably
he was.
The only sad part about Paul Scholes, no one saw him really as true quality at international level.
Yeah, because he didn't know how to play him.
He didn't know how to play him.
Because he was too fixated
and he got put on the left
Gerrard.
wing, which is crazy. Really.
But he actually says he didn't mind that because he said he played. He said I played left wing loads of times for Man United. He just said it just wasn't the same. So they should have really played the diamond, and he should have been the head of the diamond.
Yeah,
because
he was a great player. When he was
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And now he really likes toenails. Yeah. Who's your second midfielder?
Riquelme.
Okay.
Villarreal.
Okay.
He was that nice at Goodison.
At the cash machine.
Yeah.
Every year.
County Road, every season. Nah, but that game he played at Goodison when he come as a Villarreal player, he was miles ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
Like watching him live that night, I just thought that is just like this is levels of what we watch every week. And he went on to obviously have a great international career, and he spent a couple of years. I think he nearly got to Villarreal to the Champions League.
Yeah, he got beaten in the semi, didn't he? By Arsenal.
He missed the pen actually against Arsenal.
Yeah.
But as a footballer, wasn't the quickest.
No.
But he was again a bit like Scholes, just very clever on the ball and like obviously
he was always like the nearly man, wasn't he? He went to Barcelona and never quite happened for him because they had like Ronaldinho and Messi would have come through a bit later. He was never quite. One of these players that when he played for like lesser clubs always shined, but when he got to a big opportunity, I don't think he ever quite did it. So
he was technically an unreal player, like South American, and again we obviously nearly seen him in an Everton shirt. Yeah,
we did. We nearly did though. That was the point. We nearly did. It was very close a couple of times, but it was a running joke though, wasn't it?
Yeah. But
what a player.
He was class act, and like I said, that night against Villarreal, he was unbelievable. And the second leg as well, he was really good as well. So
who's your first forward?
First forward is Luis Suarez.
Oh, there, boo.
I know, but
what a player.
I was just talking to obviously the lads before about him, and that time at Liverpool, he was unbelievable.
No, he was unbelievable, especially if he played Norwich.
Against Norwich, but he's one of those players, if he's played for, you'd absolutely adore him.
Yeah, but you'd hate him.
But you'd absolutely hate him if you played against him. And in the derbies, he used to cause us all kinds of problems. And he was horrible, wasn't he? But he was so talented.
And he wanted it more than anyone else. He wanted it.
You look at what he went on after Liverpool as well. He went on and won European Cup, 4 Ligas. Like Barcelona fans were gutted when he left Barcelona. He went on to Atletico Madrid.
Won the league with them.
Obviously, he had his issues off the pitch, which probably tarnished him in this country at times. But he was just a great player.
No, he was.
He always all those situations when he used to like he'd have it and he'd knock it against the player and get it back, and you'd be like, and he'd get through you, and you'd just be like, but he was an incredible. He was a world class footballer. He was
sensational.
But
sensational.
Unfortunately, he played for them.
No, for a couple of years
he ruined many derbies against us. But for like you said, remember Gary Neville told him, saying he's probably one of the best players he's seen in this country for a long time.
He was incredible. He was horrible, but he was incredible.
Yeah.
So go on, who's your final player?
Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney was like, as a footballer, he had everything. He could play, put him at right back, put him at left back, put him in centre midfield, up front. But his goals at United and what he done at United as a player, and also England, like doesn't get enough recognition because of it's obviously Wayne Rooney and obviously the stuff that goes with him at times. But talent wise, it's probably one of the best players this country's ever produced. And first couple of years, he did give Everton torrid time.
Yeah.
Towards the end, he started obviously realising he knew he was going to come back one day, and he did started to not play as well against us, which was good. But he had everything, didn't he? Really?
Yeah. And to be fair, he sacrificed quite a lot of it for other players like Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I don't think we truly ever got the player that we first saw at Everton coming through consistently through his career. It got rough edges got smoothed off, and I don't think those rough edges should have been smoothed off. I think he had this something about him that this will to like we've just been talking about Suarez there.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't even think it was like Man United or Ferguson. I think it was just we have this thing in this country about like you know, obviously there was, you know, the people in the PR world. And I remember, do you remember when his like 18th birthday was in like Hello magazine, and it was just full of all these, you know, Dial Z-list celebrity like from EastEnders and stuff and Hollyoaks, and he was just like, and you could see what PR companies were trying to do to him, and mould him, because obviously he would be worth millions to them, and they didn't want all this bad publicity. But there's getting rid of the bad publicity, but there's also keeping that thing, that hunger, that horribleness, that desire, the thing that, you know, got him sent off in the World Cup, but also the thing in the Euros that made him the best player in the Euros in 2004.
That France game, he was unbelievable, that game.
When anyone watches the highlights, there's like little video packages of 04 in the Euros, till he broke his toe. England would have won it that year, and it would have won it all because of him.
You'd go as far as saying that tournament, he was, at that time, he was probably one of the best players in the world.
He was the equivalent of like Gazin in 1990, where he never, in a tournament, Gazin never played in no tournament, apart from 96, but he never played another World Cup, and he never topped that.
No, he was making world class players look silly. Lillian Thuram sitting on his arse, Desai on his arse. I think that's what he lost. Yeah.
I think he lost that rawness to want to make people look silly. You know, I remember when he did it at Goodison, Darren Moore, when Darren Moore was like, "You'll never get anywhere in your career doing that." He was like, "Shut up, you tit."
Yeah.
Like, I will. Who are you? Like, you know, Darren Moore doesn't even manage at a higher level than Wayne Rooney now, which is...
He doesn't.
But that was it, and I think what happened at Man United was, whether for whatever reason, whether it was Ferguson, whatever, those edges, that thing of like, I'm going to take the piss out of you today, they were worn away, and I think he became less of a player because of that. And he started doing, when Ronaldo was at his pomp, Rooney was doing all the doggy work, and again it was like, no, he should be front and centre, but still amazing.
I think that injury he done at Chelsea had a lot to play with. He done and he went the World Cup and he shouldn't have. I don't think that helped him a lot, because at that time at United he was unreal. He was starting to be the main man, and Ronaldo was kind of like and it was after that Euros, I think it was Ronaldo,
and I think also the other thing just from that thing as well though is, you've seen it with Ronaldo now. Rooney clearly didn't. No. He's built this. Look at the way he's built. He's built like a boxer. It's probably harder for him to maintain the stricter way of life in terms of dietary and all that. Like, he's probably the kind of fellow who looks at cake and gets fat, because I know I am, so he must be as well. And I think that he just didn't quite have that as well, and that comes from that's an internal thing, but also I think that comes from having the home comforts, being at home and all that kind of thing. So, and you've seen it now, is Ronaldo's still going very, very strong. They've had equally as long as career, really, and Rooney's now is retired and finished, and I think that shows you the differences as well, is that Rooney just didn't have, because again, though, that's the thing of like, when he was a kid, I don't have to work hard at this because I'm so talented, whereas Ronaldo, I think, probably felt like, I just had that drive, and maybe that they just come from slightly two different places, and I think. Whereas Rooney's edges were smoothed off, that shouldn't have been. Ronaldo's edges were smoothed off, but by getting rid of those smooth edges, you found he had a 12-pack underneath those. And he was just like, you know what? I really like looking like this. Whereas Rooney was just like, I just want to play footy. So, but an incredible player.
Amazing. Like, Man United's record goals.
England's.
That will probably be broken.
I hope it's not. I hope Harry Kane, because I don't think Harry Kane's half the player he is. No. I don't think he deserves to have it. But there you go. We'll see what happens. There you go. Steve, thank you for your ultimate Everton team, your ultimate team of players who've played against Everton as well. It's been a joy speaking with you. So we'll have more of these coming up. Make sure you check them out. Don't forget to download the Ultimate Fan app as well. Play on that. The link is in the description, and we'll be back next week. See you later.